There we go. Now it's working. Ha 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 ha. Okay, so sorry, another day of the cold. There we go. I got music blaring in my ear. Okay, so we have today is a busy day. The Ukraine statement, see it in the description, from Mark Carney, partial statement. Well, we see Pierre today. We do not know where Pierre is, what he's been up to. Michelle Rempel-Garner has been taking the lead, I would say. Well, she took the lead yesterday, needless to say. Today, Carney, like I said, he had some virtual meetings with about Ukraine and so on. In 15 minutes it starts, but here's the first 15 minutes of question period yesterday. I'll also put that other thing on. But the only real news is that we basically have going is Mexico. It's calm. State of the Union is going on today. Okay, here we go. So that's what we got going here today. Can you see that? Of course not. Of course not. Okay, this is the first 15 minutes of yesterday. I'll just... 15 minutes, first 15
oral
minutes
questions.
of yesterday.
Questions orales. The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Liberals have enabled hundreds of thousands of bogus refugee claims. Liberals' failures on immigration like this one means billions of tax dollars have been spent on hotels and social welfare for false refugee claimants, all while Canadians struggle to access health care and while legitimate refugees languish. This has to stop. Will the Liberals support our constructive motion to restore fairness and prioritize Canadians who pay for the health care system over fake refugees?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I welcome the member to this important discussion. We have already introduced and made changes to the interim federal health program that will considerably reduce the costs. We are also making significant changes and have introduced C-12, which will curb the misuse of asylum. We will control costs, and we will truly protect those that are vulnerable in line with our international and humanitarian obligations.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Well, the Liberals haven't been able to get hundreds of millions of dollars worth of pandemic scam fraud returned to them, so I highly doubt they'll be able to get fake refugees on deportation orders to pay back their health care. Mr. Speaker, this is something that needs to end. I will ask the minister again. This is a common sense motion. Literally everybody agrees with it. Will the minister support our constructive motion to ensure that Canadians who pay for our health system are given better access than fake refugees?
Hear, hear. The honourable minister.
Mr. Speaker, to keep our
Okay, just a quick thing going on here. I got the logo.
Our program sustainable, we have and are making measured changes to the health coverage. We've already introduced copay to the system. We are already curbing the misuse. We've introduced a lot of integrity measures. We have C12 that is currently in front of us, and thank you for the Conservatives for supporting that. That will reduce also misuse of the system. We also have international and obligations that Canada will continue to honor, particularly for those that are in need, and most of them are our children.
The honourable member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, the Parliamentary Budget Officer revealed the interim federal health program will cost taxpayers over $1.5 billion a year. The Liberals expanded this program to provide a deluxe health benefits like physiotherapy and home care to bogus asylum claimants whose phony claims have been rejected. Canadians are not entitled to them, but rejected asylum claimants are. Why are the Liberals giving bogus asylum seekers better health care than Canadians who fund the system?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I really appreciate that question. To speak to the PBA report, those are projections in that report. They do not take into account the changes that are coming in Bill C-12. Neither do they take into account the interim health measures that we've introduced, including copay and other provisions. So I look forward to that.
The honourable member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, while the Liberals defend deluxe health benefits for bogus asylum claimants, millions of Canadians are waiting in line for care. There are Canadians in this country who can't get health care they need because the wait list is too long. Ahead of them on that wait list are people who filed fake refugee claims and were rejected by the government's own refugee board. Will the minister explain to Canadians why bogus asylum seekers are ahead of them in line?
Let's hear it here. The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to point to that member who I respect quite a bit. Last session we were on the same committee. In 2014, it was this Conservative government that the Supreme Court ruled that they made that their changes were unconstitutional, and they took away health care coverage for the most vulnerable, including children. This is not something we will do on this side of the House. Again, we are curbing misuse. We've introduced changes by introducing copay. Asylum claims are down by a third under this government.
That's how it's done. On va donner l'occasion aux gens de se faire entendre. L'honorable.
The Honourable Member for Charles-le-Bourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of this Liberal government, our once exemplary immigration system is now in a shambles. We have discovered at the Committee of Health that health providers are causing taxpayers to pay up to 5-time provincial levels for illegal asylum seekers. And meanwhile, 6 million Canadians do not have a family doctor. That's an insult for those who have been paying taxes all their lives. Will the government support us in reestablishing fairness in health for Canadians first? The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. I'd like to thank my colleague for the question. On this side of the House, we are working very hard to ensure that our asylum system is strong. We have reduced asylum claims by a third. We also introduced C12, and I'd like to thank our colleagues who have assisted us in passing that legislation. Thus, asylum claims, as I said, have gone down by a third. And we are strengthening our programs. We are continuing to carry out our work on this topic. The Honourable Member for Charles-le-Bourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Parliamentary Budget Officer's report is very clear. The sharp increase in costs from the interim federal health program proves that the system is broken. We need to get rid of federal benefits for non-eligible asylum seekers except in case of emergency, and we need to ensure that Canada has the housing and healthcare capacity before welcoming new arrivals. Will the government finally guarantee that non-residents will receive healthcare that is superior to the healthcare received by our own citizens? The Honourable Minister, the numbers my colleague quoted are merely projections. They're not real numbers. And given the changes that have been made to the program, those numbers are no longer accurate. We have made significant improvements to the asylum system, including in Bill C-12. The work is going well. We are reducing costs, and we are protecting vulnerable individuals. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Curem fiasco is costing a lot of money. We were wondering where Quebecers' money was going. The cost of this software went from $1.75 to $6.6 billion, which is almost $5 billion more. And all that money seems to be going into the pockets of private business. Well, actually, $3.4 billion, more than half, has been sent to the private sector. And we don't even know what that money is being used for, because the government is refusing to unveil its contracts to media or to MPs. When will there be a public and independent inquiry? The Honourable Secretary of State, Seniors.
They don't know what the money is being used for, but they were on the committees that approved the spending. They know that this money has been used to complete the transformation of a 60-year-old system. If we had let that system stand, people would not be getting their benefits. Mr. Speaker, this program is not costed in a cost overrun situation as they would assert. This has cost just over $1.4 billion, and the OAS conversion is now complete. The amounts that they're talking about is a theoretical approval for a possible four-system transformation. This OAS system is now complete, people are being transitioned, and there's no cost overruns.
L'honorable député de...
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Well, apparently, the cost overruns are so unimportant that the government says that they're common practice. Well, that's exactly the problem. That's what happened with ArriveCan and with Phoenix. It is common practice. And in 2023, the Auditor General stated that there were risks. It warned the government. It said there were risks to taking shortcuts. It's like what happened with Phoenix, but clearly no one listened, because now, once again, there's a $5 billion cost overrun. And this software is causing problems for 85,000 retirees. When will there be an arm's length inquiry? The Honourable Minister.
Neighborhoods. As an example of this, Conservatives tried to amend Liberal legislation in the committee to fix this. Our amendments would have prevented non-citizens convicted of serious crimes from filing bogus asylum claims in an attempt to escape deportation. Still, the Liberals voted against this common-sense change to our laws. Now, I know the Liberals will say, let the process play out. But even when clearly fraudulent claims filed by violent suspected criminals are rightly thrown out by our refugee board, they will still not lose access to free specialty health programs. In contrast, they file an appeal which may take years to be heard due to backlogs averaging up to 4 years. Even with a budget of nearly $350 million and 2,500 employees, the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada is only growing its backlog year after year. The Parliamentary Budget Officer's report shows, using IRCC data, that these backlogs will only grow for the rest of the decade. But But even when these bogus refugee claimants are denied at every stage and the fraudulent visitors lose all rights to remain in Canada and are told they must leave, until and if they are physically walked out of the country, they can still walk down the street and receive vision care or physiotherapy, things that the average Canadian doesn't have access to. Here's the worst thing about these departures. IRCC can't even tell parliamentarians how many are actually departing. I guess they expect these fraudulent cases to walk out the door on their own and leave behind free health care. That is the interim federal healthcare system as it exists today. As the parliamentary budget officer confirmed when his office appeared before our health committee just a couple weeks ago. Canadians have increasingly lost confidence in our immigration and refugee system under this Liberal government, and it's easy to see why. No governing parties in this House have ever opposed the admission of real refugees from Syria, from Ukraine, from Afghanistan. No governing party has ever opposed the interim federal health program. Failure by this Liberal government to properly manage the admission of temporary foreign workers and international students into non-essential jobs and fake universities has led to this crisis. Guests to our country quickly realized they could create nearly endless extensions with access to special medical care that they don't have in their own home countries by filing asylum claims that everyone knows do not meet any standard of refugee. I don't blame these people for doing this. It's the government in this room's fault for allowing the loophole to exist in the...
I must unfortunately interrupt the honourable member at this point so that we can go on with statements and then question period. The honourable member will have approximately 4 minutes left in her speech if she so chooses after a question period and special statements after that. Statements by members. Déclaration de député, the honourable member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
An open letter to the world from an island. An ordinary woman denounces a crime that the world refuses to see. My name is like millions of others. Ike Rome. I am an ordinary Cuban woman, a daughter, a sister, and I write this with a broken heart and trembling hands, because what my people are experiencing today is not a crisis.
All right, Mayday,
it is
Mayday,
a crime.
Mayday.
It is a slow, calculated murder, and the world looks the other way. Look at Cuba. Look at what the United States is doing to it, and ask yourselves, which side of history do I want to be on? This is a crime. Please share my message. Children, babies are dying in incubators because of blockades. People are dying for lack of medication. Please do not look the other way. Thousands of people sharing my message will make a difference. Yes.
L'honorable député de Saint-Boniface, Saint-Vital.
The honourable member for Saint-Boniface, Saint-Vital.
Black History Month comes to a close. We are reminded that meaningful celebration does not happen on its own. It happens because strong community organizations carry that work forward year after year. In my riding, 2 outstanding organizations are doing exactly that. The Black History Month Celebration Committee, Inc. is a pillar in Winnipeg since 1981, continues to lead Manitoba's largest Black History Month celebrations, bringing together thousands to honor the history, achievements, and contributions of Black Manitobans. Noir et Fier, initiated by Wilgus
IGOSA works with its partners to create an inclusive francophone space that celebrates Black voices, promotes intercultural dialogue, and puts young people at the heart of the action.
When it's rooted in community. Grâce à ces organisations.
Thanks to these organizations, the celebration is a source of education, dialogue, and social bonds. I thank them for their leadership and their commitment. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Haliburton Kawartha Lakes.
Coerced sterilization, particularly affecting Indigenous peoples. For decades, individuals were subjected to permanent procedures without their informed consent, including in residential schools and in northern and remote communities. While many believe this practice belongs to the past, it does not. Survivors continue to come forward today, sharing experiences of pressure, coercion, and procedures experienced without true consent. I'm proud to sponsor Bill S-228, introduced by Senator Yvonne Boyer, which will clarify in the criminal code that performing a sterilization without consent constitutes aggravated assault. This legislation will strengthen accountability and affirm that reproductive autonomy is a fundamental human right.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, the Honourable. There's no point of orders during SO31. Yeah, but they're
Mr. Speaker. We cannot hear this. Okay? From the House Leader.
The
House Leader.
Larry, both sides. Excuse me. Both sides. This was an unfortunate interruption. One can hear very well on the audio and on TV. Anyway, we'll let the Honourable Member take it up, but I won't tolerate that kind of interruption again, whether there's too much noise or somebody passes in front of the camera. From the top, please, the Honourable Member from Haliburton Kawartha Lakes.
Speaker, Canada has a long and painful history of forced and coerced sterilization, particularly affecting Indigenous peoples. For decades, individuals were subjected to permanent procedures without their informed consent, including in residential schools and in northern and remote communities. While many believe this practice belongs in the past, it does not. Survivors continue to come forward today, sharing experiences of pressure, coercion, and procedures performed without their consent. I'm proud to sponsor Bill S-228, introduced by Senator Yvonne Boyer, which will clarify in the criminal code that performing a sterilization without consent constitutes aggravated assault. This legislation will strengthen accountability and affirm that reproductive autonomy is a fundamental human right. I want to recognize the courageous survivors who are in Ottawa this week, whose advocacy has brought this issue to national attention. I ask that all members support Bill S-228 and help ensure that this injustice never happens again.
The Honourable Member for...
Let's make it sure that vile and disgusting that we're using a gun in this country. We can't expect more than that. And it's been happening in
The Honourable Member for Pierre Poilievre.
Mr. Speaker, 4 years ago, Russia launched its unjustified and...
on a side note, hey, isn't it funny how sometimes music flavors, tastes change? You know, I've of course listen to heavier music. I still do like Black Sabbath and heavy music. You know, Bad Company bands like that, and so on and so forth, Metallica. Though, I remember listening with an ex-girlfriend or whatever who used to put on Sarah MaCLachian, and back in the day, I remember being like, eject. It's not always. It's a couple of songs, but I remember being like, okay, eject. You know, eject that that tape. But then to just listen to like some of her music, like her techno stuff, like she got way more fresh with the techno. But just listen to Sarah, because Canadian music, right? And she used to hear Sarah MaCLachian all the time, and now you just don't hear it. So it's just kind of nice to. Well, it's like, wow, look at all the songs that it's almost like going back through time. And it's odd how sometimes you can go back to music that I liked it, but it's like I like it a lot more now. You know, probably because I'm less of a headbanger.
Illegal full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Cette guerre demeure incredible.
This war is a grave humanitarian crisis.
In Montreal, I attended the global rally for Ukraine. In frigid temperatures, we gathered in solidarity with the Ukrainian people. We stood against aggression, against annexation, to protect children and to keep families together.
With Ukrainian families, I share concerns for wives and children whose husbands and fathers are fighting at the front.
Ukraine, this is a just cause. To Ukrainians in Canada and across the world, your resilience and bravery inspire. Le Canada restera.
Canada will remain by your side.
And for accountability, for a lasting peace, grounded in justice, fairness, and international law. Thank you. D'accord you, Mr. Speaker.
Bravo.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, today I would like to highlight an initiative in my riding to better inform citizens about fraud and cybercrime, a reality that directly affects many families. Between 2020 and 2024, more than 2,100 incidents of fraud were reported in the riding, according to the data from the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. The most common types of fraud are identity theft, extortion, theft of personal information, and phishing. Financial losses have risen significantly, reaching nearly $3.5 million in 2024, illustrating the scale of the problem. Given these worrying figures, I felt it was essential to provide citizens with clear, local, and concrete information, along with simple tips on how to better protect themselves, particularly when using debt and credit cards and debit and credit cards, and dealing with online fraud. The response from my fellow citizens has been very positive. Several told me that the information was useful and relevant and that it helped them better understand the risks and take preventive measures. Seniors and families are better informed and more confident. This initiative demonstrates that accessible information backed by local data can really make a difference. The Honourable Member for Laval-les-Îles. Mr. Speaker, February is the 30th anniversary of Black History Month. This year's theme is Generations Legacy Through Time. To that end, I'd like to acknowledge the role played by Madame Althea Seaman, originally from Dominica. She was a true pioneer in Laval's Black community, having been part of one of the first families to settle in our region, in the 1970s. In 1983, Madame Seaman created the Ligue des Noirs de Laval Black League, to build a network of solidarity and promote cultural exchanges. Over time, she became an ambassador for the relationship between the French-speaking and English-speaking Black communities. Dear Madame Seaman, the House of Commons today salutes your resilience, your legacy, your courage, and your contributions.
The Honourable Member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Tyandanaga.
February is Heart Month, a time to focus on the health of our own hearts and to stand in solidarity with families affected by heart conditions, including congenital heart defects. It is a reminder that heart health begins with everyday choices. Small, consistent steps can play a powerful role in prevention and long-term wellness. At the same time, we recognize those affected by congenital heart defects. Medical advances have transformed survival and the quality of life, yet many families still navigate complex surgery, specialized care, and lifelong monitoring. We also honor those families who have experienced the heartbreak of losing a child due to these conditions. Let us embrace both prevention and advocacy, caring for our own hearts while championing those whose path began with unique challenges. With knowledge, healthy living, and collective resolve, we can stand beside one another, honor every family's story, and together work towards healthier hearts for all.
The Honourable Member for Scarborough Agincourt.
Mr. Speaker, this month, East and Southeast Asian communities in Canada and around the world are celebrating Lunar New Year, one of the most important traditions across many cultures. 2026 marks the year of the fire horse, a rare occurrence that comes just once every 60 years. The horse symbolizes energy, determination, and freedom. The fire element is said to amplify these traits, bringing passion, intensity, and transformative momentum to the year ahead. Yesterday, I welcomed members of Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, and Filipino communities to Parliament Hill to celebrate this special occasion. Thank you to my colleagues who made the event special. Lunar New Year concludes with the Lantern Festival on March 3rd. May the light from the lanterns bring health, happiness, and prosperity to all. Sing Nan Kwai Le, San Hei Bok Mano Badiseo, Chok Mong Nam Moi, Yun Shu Je Fai Le.
The Honourable Member for Kitchener Centre.
Mr. Speaker, two-tiered healthcare policies that reward non-citizens who have no legal right to be here, rejected asylum seekers, is unfair to everyone. That's why Conservatives have proposed an opposition motion to restrict health benefits to failed asylum claimants to emergency life-saving care. It's not fair to anyone to have taxpayers paying for premium benefits like vision care and physiotherapy for failed asylum claimants, while seniors in Kitchener have a hard time getting home care or nursing care, while people across Canada are struggling with their mental health and need the supports they need, and while disabled persons are living in poverty. It's time to restore fairness to Canada's healthcare system. I encourage all people in this House to support our motion. Thank you.
L'honorable député de...
The Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, les Patriotes Verchères. Mr. Speaker, I would like to highlight the 70th anniversary of the Montreal Police Voice Symphony, La Fraternité des Policiers et Policières de Montréal. Since 1956, this unique choir, composed exclusively of active and retired police officers, has been warming hearts with the power of its voices and the depth of its commitment. For 7 decades now, it has carried music as a language of unity, emotion, and friendship. Over the years, the Vocal Symphony has given numerous performances for community organizations and events, in seniors' residences, at formal or festive ceremonies, and at the funerals of members of the police service. I'd like to highlight specifically the remarkable contribution of musical director Roland Côté and pianist Denise Roux, whose passion and professionalism have shaped the excellence of this ensemble. As it enters its 70th year, I offer my congratulations and best wishes for a long life to the Symphonie Vocale de la Fraternité des Policiers de Montréal.
Mr. Speaker, Black History Month is not only a time to look back, it's a call to build forward. As we mark 30 years of its recognition in Canada, we are reminded that celebrating Black excellence must go hand in hand with expanding opportunities. This year's theme, Nation Builders to Tomorrow's Visionaries, speak to the continuum. The entrepreneurs, the community leaders, the advocates shaping our economy today are laying the foundation for the next generation. This is what this Saturday in Pickering, Brooklyn, we will gather for our Black Entrepreneurship Forum, a space dedicated not only to dialogue, but to connection, capital, and concrete opportunity. With the participation of the Secretary of State for Small Business, the focus will be clear, ensuring Black-owned businesses can access the tools they need to grow, scale, and thrive. Together, through partnership and purposeful investment, we honor those who build before us and empower those.
The Honourable Member for York Centre.
Speaker, Toronto area home builders report the worst January on record since 1981. Last month, only 269 new homes were sold in the city of Toronto. The slump in new home sales has lasted longer than the downturn of the 1990s. Because of these Liberals, the dream of home ownership is gone for many Canadians. Now, we already know that the Liberal housing plan is dead on arrival. That's because, according to CMHC, new housing starts will drop every year for the next 3 years. But instead of getting government out of the way to build new homes, the Liberals are building a fourth government housing agency. Count them. The Ministry of Housing, CMHC, Canada Lands, and now Build Canada Homes. A fourth bureaucracy to employ Liberal cronies. Instead of building another government agency, the Liberals can adopt our Conservative plan. Take the GST off on all new construction and for all new home buyers so Canadians can afford to buy a home.
The Honourable Member for Quebec Centre. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From February 14th to the 22nd, the entire city of Quebec City will be buzzing with excitement for the Sun Life Snow Pentathlon, Canada's largest winter sporting event. For so many years now, we have seen so many volunteers, solid partners involved in this event. I specifically want to focus on Alex Hervé and Lynn Bessette, a former colleague and representative MP for Beaumont-Missisquoi. I'm also proud of Economic Development Canada and that it's been supporting the pentathlon for many years by contributing to its efforts throughout the country. And in closing, a heartfelt thank you to Jean-Charles Ouellet, the founder of the pentathlon, who was actually also my high school phys ed teacher, who I must say has continued to inspire our entire community.
The honourable member for Fort McMurray Cold Lake.
57% of millennials say they have little to no money left over after paying monthly bills, according to the 2026 RBC Financial Independence Poll. That's more than a statistic. It's a giant blaring warning signal. Young Canadians aren't just postponing vacations or cutting back on luxuries. Many are struggling to put food on the table, let alone save for their future. The Liberals blame global events for rising food prices, yet 70% of the food we eat is produced right here in Canada. So it's excessive regulation, inflationary spending, and the industrial carbon tax driving up costs here at home across the entire supply chain, costs that are passed on to Canadians. This is a made-in-Canada problem, and food prices have risen more than twice as fast as our overall goods. Every trip to the grocery store is a reminder that something just isn't working. How expensive does food have to get before the Liberals stop strangling Canadian food production and red tape and punishing taxes?
The honourable member for Eglinton Lawrence.
Mr. Speaker, I want to recognize students from Lawrence Heights Middle School who are joining us in Ottawa from my riding of Eglinton Lawrence. At a time when our country needs engaged young people more than ever, it is inspiring to see students who are civically engaged and eager to learn about our democratic institutions. Thank you, Principal Stewart, for your leadership and for fostering a strong culture of civic education. To the students visiting from Lawrence Heights, I hope this experience inspires many of you to one day serve our community. The students will be celebrating Black History Month with the Children's Breakfast Club. Members are welcome to attend at 4 p.m. in room 330 of the Wellington Building. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Vaughan Woodbridge.
Fraudulent and rejected asylum claims are straining a healthcare system that millions of Canadians cannot fully access. The interim federal health program costs have more than quadrupled in 4 years, from $211 million to $896 million, and they're projected to reach $1.5 billion by 2029. Now, at committee, we learned providers are billing taxpayers up to 5 times the provincial rate for services to rejected claimants. Wow. Meanwhile, some 6 million Canadians lack a family doctor, yet failed claimants have supplementary benefits, including vision care, benefits that many Canadians must pay for out of pocket. This is neither fair nor sustainable. Now, Conservatives are calling for limiting benefits to rejected claimants for emergency and life-saving care only. We're calling for full annual transparency to Parliament and the immediate removal of foreign nationals convicted of serious crimes. Now, Canada is a compassionate country, but it must first be fair to its own citizens. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear. Honourable member for Etobicoke Centre.
Today marks 4 years since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The Ukrainian people have been outmanned and outgunned, but they've shown tremendous courage in defending their homeland. Unable to win on the battlefield, Russia has resolved to pursue war crimes, including most recently trying to destroy the power grid to freeze millions of Ukrainians into surrender. They will never surrender, but they need our help. For me, Speaker, there are 2 reasons we support Ukraine. The first is it is the right thing to do. It is the moral thing to do. And the second reason is because it is the right thing for Canada. If Russia wins, it will not stop at Ukraine, and NATO countries will be next. And we know this because Vladimir Putin has told us so. That's why Ukraine's victory is vital to Canada's security. Now, Canada has been a global leader in supporting Ukraine since 2022 with over $25 billion in support, and I know that under the Prime Minister's leadership, that support will continue. The Ukrainian people are not only fighting for their own freedom and security, they're also fighting for ours, and we need to fight for them until they win, until we all win. Slava Ukraini.
oral questions, questions orales. The
Mr. Speaker, Quebecers are fed up with liberal waste. This Liberal Prime Minister has made inflation increase and double the debt. And now we're seeing the waste, just like with ArriveCan and We Charity. We're seeing this waste with Curem. Under this Liberal government, 85,000 seniors are not getting their checks. And yet the Liberal governments are saying this is good news? Does the Prime Minister agree with his House Leader that wasting money and depriving seniors of their checks is a piece of good news? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I would like to recognize that today is the 4th anniversary of the beginning of the unjustified and horrifying war that Russia launched against Ukraine. Canada stands with Ukraine. We are providing more humanitarian and military aid today. And regarding the Leader of the Opposition's question, to my knowledge, the Curem process started in 2017.
Very long explanation.
The project, was broadened to other services like OAS.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
What's going on?
Mr. Speaker, this Liberal government wasted $5 billion in cost overruns. And today, when this Prime Minister is in power, 85,000 seniors are not getting their checks. They cannot put food on the table. The Prime Minister has doubled the deficit, saying he didn't have enough money, but apparently he had enough to waste $5 billion. What will the Prime Minister do to put an end to this Liberal scandal, protect taxpayers, and ensure that our seniors will get the money? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, as I just said, the former government began this project with OAS, and then we broadened its scope, and we added EI to it, as well as the GIS and other services. All of the sums have been budgeted for, and this project has already been reviewed by the Auditor General.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians deserve good quality health care. But after a decade of this Liberal government, 6 million Canadians do not have a family doctor. Part of the reason is that mass, out-of-control Liberal immigration has overwhelmed the system. And many of those resources are going to people who are here illegally and have been rejected. There has been a 1,000% increase in the cost of providing deluxe benefits to many people who are here illegally. Will the Prime Minister reverse this policy, support our motion, and put Canadians first for health care?
Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes, Canada is not America. Yes, Canada provides essential health care to everyone in this country. The increase in costs in this program referenced in the opposition motion is a result of the increase in applicants for that program. Now, what has this government done? This government has taken back control of immigration. This government has reduced the number of temporary workers in this country by 50%, the demanders of asylum seekers by 1/3, and we're modern.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The problem is that this government is not taking care of health care for the Canadian people. 6 million do not have a family doctor. 100,000 people died on waiting lists since the Liberals unleashed out-of-control immigration. There are currently literally thousands of people who are waiting for procedures as we speak. The Prime Minister claims he's getting it under control, but it's all an illusion. He's just another Liberal. There has been a 3,000% increase in refugee claims under his out-of-control system. Will he rein it in, support our motion, and put Canadians first?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm looking forward to coming up to my one-year anniversary as Prime Minister.
Hear, hear.
Temporary students have gone down by 60%. During that time, temporary workers have gone down by 50%. We have the immigration system under control, and we're supplying the health care Canadians.
Hear, hear. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Has the system under control? Obviously, he's just another Liberal. He thinks it's under control when the cost of deluxe supplementary benefits is up by 1,000%, and the number of refugee claims is up by 3,000%. Meanwhile, under his leadership, and after 11 years of Liberal government, we have 6 million Canadians who cannot find a family doctor. Will he take his head out of the stand, vote for our motion, and give Canadians back the health care they deserve?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, 11 years? I just got here. The member opposite has been here his whole...
I just want to remind the member for Selkirk, Interlake, Eastman that there is only one person who should be standing at a time in this House. But anyway, the Right Honourable Prime Minister will need to start from the top.
Mr. Speaker, I just got here. The Leader of the Opposition has been here his entire career, with one exception. Now, during the time that Canada's new government has been here, we have reduced asylum seekers by 1/3. We have reduced temporary foreign workers by 50%. We have reduced new students by 60%. And we are putting in place, in front of this House, in C12 and C2, an ability to end the abuse of the asylum system. We look for their support.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister may pretend he just got here like he's a temporary foreign worker or something, but in reality, it's the same Liberal House Leader, the same Liberal Finance Minister, the same Liberal Justice Minister who was the Immigration Minister that broke the entire system that are running it into the ground today. And it's not just health care where there's two-tiered, Mr. Speaker. This Prime Minister keeps in place laws that allow foreign criminals who are visiting Canada to have less time in jail after they commit crimes. Will he get rid of the two-tiered system so that we can lock up serious criminals and then kick them out of our country when they're done their time?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would encourage, in the spirit of the member's opposite question, support for C2 and C12, which will help to address some of these issues. That's the first point. The second point, Mr. Speaker, when someone commits a crime in this country, they should serve the time in this country.
Hear, hear. L'honorable député de Belleuil-Chambly.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the sponsorship scandal cost around $330 million. The Quebec-Saclay scandal, $1.1 billion. The infamous Phoenix, which is still not over, $5.1 billion. And Curram has now gone from $1.6 billion to $6.6 billion. Is the Prime Minister proud of presiding over the worst financial scandal in the history of Canada? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the project started in 2017. At that time, I was the Governor of the Bank of England, number one. Number two.
On y va. Tous les montants a été.
All of the money was budgeted for, including the $6 billion. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Oh, it's not my fault, Mr. Speaker. Well, in 2019, the Bloc Québécois asked for there be a purchasing power adjustment for retirees. And then after that, there was the pandemic and post-pandemic inflation, which made it even harder for retirees to make ends meet. Also discrimination between retirees over 75 and under. And now we have CURM, which is causing 85,000 retirees to have errors with their checks. Does this Prime Minister realize that his government has mistreated retirees? I'm sure there are retirees in Talbot who are wondering that. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we have strengthened Quebec's healthcare system, number one. Number two, we have strengthened the dental care system in Quebec. We have strengthened pharmacare in Quebec.
L'honorable député de Belleuil-Chambly.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, because CURM is the biggest financial scandal in the history of Canada, because retirees' purchasing power has been going down since these Liberals, these are the others, they're all the same. Given that this is the case, will this Prime Minister, who says it's not his fault, will he at least cast light on the CURM scandal and call for an independent inquiry? Just like all the others had their own scandals? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the CURM project has already been reviewed by the Public Accounts Committee and by the Auditor General. Both of them have reviewed the project. Everything has been budgeted for. Period.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
We need to restore order and fairness in Canada's immigration system. Conservatives have a clear proposal to end the two-tier healthcare system where failed asylum claimants get access to premium healthcare while Canadians who have paid into the system wait in overcrowded emergency rooms. There is no reasonable justification to oppose fairness for Canadian taxpayers. So why are the Liberals voting to protect a system that puts failed claimants ahead of Canadians?
Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it is very interesting to us. The Prime Minister outlined all of the ways in which temporary Canadians, asylum seekers, and others, those levels are going down and going down quickly. But it's very interesting to us that after a week away to lick their wounds, the Conservatives returned to Parliament and punched down at some of the most vulnerable people in this world, including, on this most solemn of anniversaries, an amputee child from Ukraine who comes seeking health care in Canada, that they would deny that person.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Calling anybody who questions anything about them names again. In just 10 years, the cost of health care for asylum seekers skyrocketed to $60 million to over $1 billion. That's a 1,500% increase. They can't run away from that. Legitimate refugees deserve protection. That's not the issue here. But failed asylum claimants should not receive premium coverage, while 6 million Canadians cannot find a family doctor and are waiting 12 hours in an emergency room. So I'll ask again, will they restore order and fairness into the system?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, failed asylum claimants are not granted asylum and therefore cannot stay in Canada. The Conservatives need to stop punching down at the world's most vulnerable people. There are legitimate claimants, legitimate refugees on Canadian soil, including people fleeing the war in Ukraine, the anniversary of which we are marking today, and they should be ashamed of themselves for picking on the most vulnerable people on the planet.
The Honourable Member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, 6 million Canadians don't have a family doctor, and the average wait time to see a specialist is around 30 weeks. Yet the Liberals keep rejected asylum claimants, people their own refugee board has rejected, fully enrolled in a program with premium health benefits on the same wait list as those Canadians. Does the health minister believe asylum claimants that her own government rejected should be in the same lines as Canadians and genuine refugees? Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Citizenship, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we are focused on strengthening our immigration system and building Canada strong. If the Conservatives were really serious about health care, they would support our investments in hospitals. They would support dental care. They would support pharmacare. They would support the immigration program that I just announced and under Global Talent. And last week, the first physicians, surgeons were picked under that program to care for Canadians and everyone in Canada.
Honourable Member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, if the Liberals actually cared about genuine refugees, they wouldn't force them to wait in the same healthcare lines as fake asylum claimants. They wouldn't force them to wait in the same backlog as claimants who this government rejected. But they do, and they refuse to fix it. Will the health minister explain to those genuine refugees why rejected claimants are ahead of them on healthcare wait lists?
The Honourable Minister.
Speaker, thank you for that question. We have a robust immigration system. Our system works. We have an IRB board that handles claim. Those that are inadmissible and ineligible are not going to the board. They are ruled out. Those that clearly fit in the system are in there. And we will continue to honor our humanitarian, constitutional, and international obligations.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Montmorency Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, the interim federal health program is a taxpayer-funded program that covers health care for asylum seekers and some other non-citizens at a time when 6 million Canadians do not have a family doctor. And when our system is overwhelmed, we have learned that non-citizens and non-permanent residents can receive benefits that are more generous than those offered to Canadians and Quebecers. This is a matter of fairness. Will the government support our motion to guarantee that non-residents and non-citizens do not get better health care than Canadians? The Honourable Minister of Immigration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What my colleague said is not true. It is totally untrue. We are strengthening our borders, and we are making it harder for those who wish to abuse our system. We have reduced asylum claims by 30% last year. And
just a short interlude to remembering Han Dong. A very quick interlude
from NDP on particular occurrence. Thank you.
Questions and comments. Question and comment. The Honourable Member for Caribou Prince George.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank our honourable colleague. He is a good soldier. He goes on and on and on, and he quotes lots of things. Well, I'd like to quote something from the media. It's breaking news, and perhaps he'd like to check his phone about a breaking news right now of a Liberal MP that secretly advised a chief diplomat in 2021 to delay the freeing of the two Michaels. I would like to ask this honourable colleague for a comment onto that.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, I'm sitting here, Mr. Speaker. I've been speaking for the last 15 minutes, not including interruptions. I'm unaware of the breaking news that this member is referencing. I'm looking forward to look into it. But we see, once again here, Mr. Speaker,
gotta look at her. Look at, she's like, what's going on?
That comes from conservatives.
She's got to look at the cell phone.
Thing that the member
Breaking
for
news.
Lacombe was trying to do when he, walking through an airport,
Look,
looking
everyone
like a hero
on the
on
other
his way
side of
back
the
to Ottawa, was saying, I'm on my way to Ottawa to fight for you and deal with the agents of Beijing. Come on. That's not what this place is supposed to be about, Mr. Speaker. The rhetoric that comes from conservatives, including that last question, is intentionally trying to mislead Canadians, and I find it extreme.
Assassination and smear, and we said no. The Liberals, we have to find a way that we can start getting answers. It was the New Democrats that were the first party, our leader, to call for a public inquiry. And tonight, we are the ones leading this discussion, and we need this tonight, Madam Speaker, because we are in a situation where we've just got these allegations that I think are explosive, that a sitting member of Parliament may have advised a senior Chinese official over the illegal detention, the hostage-taking of Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavar, the ones we know as the two Michaels. And that hostage-taking of those two men was a real line that was crossed, I think, in this new century in terms of the breakdown of international order.
And C12, which we have adopted, will improve our systems. We are here to work for all Canadians, all Quebecers, and people in every province, including people who really need our help. The honourable member. Well, indeed. The minister mentioned Canadians. Listen, Canadians and Quebecers are the ones who should be getting health care and quality health care, and we should ensure that non-citizens are not getting better health care. We also learned that certain health care providers are offering up to 5 times the amount set by the provincial rates under the interim federal health program. And we have projections that show that the situation is going to get worse by 2030. Will the government support our motion to prioritize Canadians and Quebecers? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we will never endanger the health and security of Canadians. Our program will ensure that all Canadians are safe. We will continue to work hard, and we hope the Conservatives will support us in order to help Canadians, including Quebecers.
Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, interim federal health program costs have quadrupled in 4 years. Providers are billing up to 5 times the provincial rates for care to rejected asylum claimants. Meanwhile, folks in Oshawa are waiting for care. They can't find a doctor and access to benefits like vision care, physiotherapy, and counseling, despite paying into the system their whole lives. So, rejected claimants are receiving better health benefits than Canadians. Will the Liberals help us make this right and support our Conservative motion that preserves fairness and compassion?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. You know what? The real question is, will the Conservatives stop voting against investments in health care? Will the Conservatives stop voting against things like a national dental care plan, Mr. Speaker, that's deeply connected to the health of Canadians? Mr. Speaker, I agree with my colleague. The Conservatives are punching down on the most vulnerable Canadians, and I will say this. We are all in this together. Canadians are united in ensuring that we have a universal health care system that is there for you regardless of your ability to pay.
The Honourable Member for Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Mr. Speaker, 85,000 retirees have experienced errors with their OAS checks because of the current software. And taxpayers are paying for $5 billion in cost overruns. But according to the Liberals, this is good news for Canada. retirees who are struggling, again, according to the Liberals, represent a success story. The Liberals are saying we should celebrate this. Are the Liberals saying that seniors who've been waiting for their pension for 9 months have nothing to complain about?
Ami de l'emploi.
Very distant past. In fact, they prefer benefits to be administered on a 60-year-old system using paper and hand administrated. But that's not what this government has decided to do. We're continuing on the modernization of benefits for all Canadians. This number that the Bloc Québécois continue to use is misleading to Canadians. In fact, it is a sum for the modernization of 3 major pension programs, Mr. Speaker. It is the sum that is invested in Canadians' ability to get their benefits online, in time, and in the modern world.
The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, retirees who've been waiting for their pension for 9 months would love to celebrate with Liberals, but they can't because they have no money left. And taxpayers would love to celebrate, but when they think of everything we could have done with that $5 billion wasted on software problems, they just don't feel like celebrating. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals won't fix the current problems because in their minds, the problem doesn't even exist. Am I making it clear why we absolutely need an arm's-length inquiry? The Honourable Secretary of State, Seniors.
I want to be perfectly clear. $1.5 billion has been spent to date. This covers completion of the old age security transformation and development of initial development for employment insurance. $6.6 billion is an upper ceiling for all of the projects that this covers. This amount may never be spent. And this would have been cheaper if it had been undertaken between 2005 to 2015 when the Conservatives were in power and they knew that the tech was from 1966. My mother was only 10 years old. Let me be perfect.
The Honourable Member for Saskatoon West.
Mr. Speaker, 10 years ago, we had a stable immigration system that Canadians were proud of. Now, the Liberals have automated approvals and abandoned security checks from certain countries. People can enter Canada, make a claim for asylum, and receive approval in the mail without even talking to a government official. It's auto approval. And the countries listed will shock you. Iran is on the list, which encourages senior members of the dreaded IRGC to seek refuge here, all with no security checks. Why did this government, including the current Minister of Justice, remove safeguards on Canada's refugee system?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, when you have a series of questions like this that have come on the floor of the House of Commons this week, you have to invite yourself into the conversations that the Conservative Party must have had as they were getting ready. You can imagine them all sitting around saying, what are we going to prioritize this week to help us raise some money? Well, could we tackle perhaps the Canada-U.S. relationship? No, that's just going to upset our members who think Canadians are having a hissy fit. Could we tackle affordability for families? No, that goes against type. Could we do health care? Sure, health care, but let's make sure we do it in a way that helps no one. Punching down by demonizing refugees, saying you're going to cut health care is a blatant political opportunity, not something that's going to help a single person in this country.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford South Langley.
Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff, the current Justice Minister, and the member for York Southwest and Etobicoke ran the immigration file, their reckless policies broke our asylum system, overwhelming it to the point that the Immigration and Refugee Board were forced to gut critical safeguards just to keep up. Nearly 25,000 individuals were admitted to Canada without a single in-person interview. Why did the Liberals dismantle our critical safeguards for our refugee system and put Canadian lives at risk?
Absolutely. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, the translation has been difficult to hear over the anti-refugee dog whistle that's been coming through the air in this chamber all afternoon. We are talking of people who are fleeing violence, war, and persecution. Do you not remember the images of the people who died who washed up on the shore, Alan Kurdi from Syria? Have you not sat down with members of the Ukrainian community who have found safe haven in Canada? Have you not had the opportunity to speak with the Afghans?
No, again, I know the Honourable Minister knows this. It's through the chair. It's through the chair. The Honourable Member may, if the noise level drops, maybe the Honourable Member could continue.
Mr. Speaker, let me flip this around. I know that you've had the opportunity to meet with families from Syria because we've worked together during the effort. I know that you've had the opportunity to meet with Afghans who have served alongside the Canadian Armed Forces, and I know that you have supported Ukrainians finding safe haven in Canada, fleeing Putin's war of aggression.
The honourable member for Windsor West.
Mr. Speaker, under this government, the asylum system has become so overwhelmed that the Immigration and Refugee Board eliminated key safeguards. Nearly 25,000 claims are approved without an in-person interview, and in some cases, decisions were issued without a direct conversation with an official, which is ridiculous. These policies were put in place when senior members of this government were responsible for the file. The immigration minister must explain why these safeguards were removed. Are they not concerned about the safety of Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, in my role, I have the privilege of speaking with leaders and citizens around this world, and I repeatedly hear that countries respect and want to emulate the immigration system in this country. In addition, I would ask the opposition to vote with us on Bill C-12. This is a reform to strengthen our asylum system. We've also recently announced changes to the interim health care program by introducing certain services relating to co-payment. These are responsibly, fiscally important moves.
The honourable member for Calgary Knowles Hill.
I want to go back to something that the government House Leader and the Justice Minister said. Since 2020, 86% of failed asylum claimants are still in Canada, and 100% of those people are receiving taxpayer-funded benefits that are better than most Canadians receive, like vision care and physiotherapy. How is it punching down to ask that we restore fairness by limiting the benefits of failed asylum claimants to emergency life-saving care?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This new government takes these issues very seriously. That is exactly why our mandate was to restore immigration, to strengthen our immigration system. And yes, I agree with the Foreign Affairs Minister. Our system is the envy of the world. And we are proud of the system that we have. We have curbed the asylum by 1/3. We have introduced measures to bring physicians, healthcare workers, global talent, work with us. And that's why I'll bring it up for you.
The honourable member for Calgary Knowles Hill.
The Justice Minister just dismissed the fact that the Liberals are rubber stamping and approving asylum claims from Iran without an in-person interview. This is the type of sloppy, far-left Liberal garbage that has undermined Canada's consensus for immigration and made it harder for millions of people.
I don't know if we'll find that word on a list of I'm not sure that word falls on an official list of unparliamentary language, but anything that creates disorder is unparliamentary. So I'll ask the honourable member to continue, but please do not use incendiary language.
Mr. Speaker, the Justice Minister made light of the crisis that Canada's immigration system is facing in Canada right now. I have to ask the Immigration Minister this. How does she feel about having to clean up the mess of a man who made the mess and failed upwards in this government?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Here. Mr. Speaker, throughout question period and throughout the debate in the House today, we've heard
immigrants and refugee and asylum claimants be linked to criminals, be told that their claims are all bogus. This is false, Mr. Speaker. When someone's case is determined to be invalid, when the process is complete, their work permit is canceled and so is their health care, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives are just trying to divide Canadians. They're not trying to improve health care by any means. If they were, they would have voted for dental care. They would not be creating two-tier systems in this provinces across this country. They're not concerned about
the honourable member for Etobicoke Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, today marks the 4th anniversary of Russia's barbaric and illegal invasion of Ukraine. As we sit in this House, our friends in Ukraine continue to make sacrifices as they bravely fight for their freedom. Can the Minister of Foreign Affairs share with this House how Canada is working to support Ukraine and Ukrainians in their time of need?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, on this 4th anniversary of the illegal further invasion by Russia of Ukraine, Canada continues to stand with Ukraine in the short and the long term. This morning, I announced $20 million in support for Ukraine's energy infrastructure. In addition, this brings our total investments for Ukraine and supports to $25.5 billion. Mr. Speaker, Canada stands with Ukraine and makes sure that we are there with our allies so Ukraine can fight and win this war. Slava Ukraini.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, young people in Canada today are worse off than their parents' generation. They can't find jobs, they can't afford homes. The pain that young people face is leading to delayed family formation and to increasing hopelessness. Now, an RBC poll out today shows that 2/3 of millennials are anxious about their financial future, and more than half are concerned about current cash flow. It's not like it was 10 years ago. Will Liberals now listen to young people and reverse course on policies that have blocked opportunity for the next generation?
Hear, hear. Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government is there in support of all Canadians, including with a first-time homebuyers tax credit and a number of other measures to increase affordability and build homes at scale. That is just one of the many ways that we are there. We are investing in apprenticeships, in job training, in Canada Summer Jobs. There is a great deal of opportunity and investment, and it would be great to have the Conservatives cease their obstruction, in particular on the National School Food Program, work at committee, which they have continued to filibuster, and get on side. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, actually at that committee, Liberals are opposing our efforts to study food inflation, which is more than double what it is in other jurisdictions. And their budget is weakening trading by defunding career colleges. We've put constructive proposals on the table to unleash the economy, to fix immigration, to fix training, and to build homes where the jobs are. Liberals could simply take our good ideas instead of doubling down on failure, defunding students in career colleges, and continuing to block development that creates jobs and opportunity. Why are they unwilling to take the solutions we've offered? Why instead are they standing in the way of progress for young people?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, we are giving Canadians a boost across this country, up to $12 million with the grocery benefit that will reach families with up to $1,900 this year to give them a boost. I was at the Daily Bread Food Bank in Etobicoke recently, who were very happy about this increased GST rebate, as well as with the National School Food Program that we are using to fight food insecurity. We're investing in greenhouses and a national strategy on food security. Again, it would be great to have the members' collaboration to fight food insecurity together in this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, a recent poll by the Royal Bank of Canada shows 64% of millennials are worried about their future, 57% have little or no money left at the end of the month, and 4 in 10 fear that they will never pay off their debts. In Newfoundland and Labrador, the aspiration of home ownership has been the cornerstone of community stability and has long been within reach. But after 11 Liberal years of rising house costs, inflationary deficits, and higher taxes, young Canadians are being locked out of the dream of home ownership. ownership. When will this government finally lower costs and create an economy where young Canadians can afford to live?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, this member likes to stand in the House and talk about what she feels her constituents need. But she actually needs to talk to them and ask if the building houses matter in her riding. Supports for rural communities in her riding matters. $10 a day childcare. School food program. These things matter to the members in her riding because they talk to me.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, if Liberal programs worked, young Canadians would be getting ahead, not watching the dream of home ownership slip further away. According to CREA, the average sale price in St. John's has increased by nearly 10% from 2024 to 2025. This generation has done everything right. They should be building wealth and home ownership, but instead they're falling further behind and they're losing hope. How much worse does affordability have to get before this government lowers costs and makes it possible for young Canadians to build a future in this country?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to remind this member from Newfoundland and Labrador that she needs to read Budget 2025. Because in that budget, she will notice that there are strong supports for youth across this country and within our province. Opportunities for them to further their education. Programs that build houses, affordable houses in communities. Build this country through major projects that will see young people working and home ownership follows. The member needs to read the budget.
The Honourable Member for Newtecumseh-Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, it's unbelievable. Only 269 new homes were sold in the GTA last month. The worst ever on record for new home sales. But it's not because Canadians don't want to buy, it's because they can't afford the homes being built. The Liberals' failure to address out-of-control immigration, rising inflation, and red tape has resulted in an entire generation being priced out of the market. Why is this government making it so hard for Canadians to afford a home?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government is focused on making housing more affordable across the board. That's right. Starting with our new home buyers, our first-time home buyers getting a tax break. Build Canada Homes has almost 9,000 homes now in development in cities across the country. Supportive housing was announced last week with BC, 700 homes for those who are at risk of homelessness. Mr. Speaker, we are delivering. We need support on the Build Canada Homes Act from the opposition to go farther.
Honourable Member for Newtecumseh-Gwillimbury.
You're not delivering. Young Canadians are flat broke.
I'm going to take that personally. Through the chair, please.
Mr. Speaker, young Canadians are flat broke and falling behind. 57 are reporting they have no money left at the end of the month. 4 in 10 fear they will never pay off their debt. Mr. Speaker, they literally have one foot in the grave and one on a banana peel. Canadians are draining their savings while their dreams of owning a home, starting a family, and building a secure life have been shattered. Instead of making things even worse, when will this Liberal government lower costs so young Canadians can afford to live?
The Honourable Minister.
Speaker, well, that's what Build Canada Homes is all about. We have a plan to deliver. We are delivering, and the experts are weighing in on this. Mr. Speaker, the Canadian Housing and Renewal Association said it clearly. Build Canada Homes is, and I quote, an important step towards addressing the housing crisis, building homes at speed and scale, ensuring affordability, and listening to the community housing sector. Mr. Speaker, we have an opportunity to deliver for Canadians. This whole House should stand in unison to support the Build Canada Homes Act.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
The dream of home ownership has been shattered by a decade of Liberal policies and rhetoric. Only 269 new homes were sold in the entire Toronto area in January. Sales are down 36% from last year and 80% below the 10-year average. The last time it was this bad was the early 1990s. The Prime Minister promised build, baby, build, but the only thing this Liberal government seems able to build is more office space for more bureaucrats, for more layers of bureaucracy. So when will this Liberal government stop obstructing builders, stop doubling down on failed policies, and finally scrap the GST on all new homes?
The Honourable Minister of
Mr. Speaker, this morning we announced a Phase 2 addition of 7,500 new residential units in 25 locations across the country. Already more than 800 new residential housing units are underway. The shovels are in the ground. Valcartier, Petawawa, and Edmonton, 1,000 new units. Kingston, 900 new units. Gagetown, 500 new units. Mr. Speaker, we are delivering for the Canadian Armed Forces, and we're delivering for our economy.
The Honourable Member for Richmond-Arthabasca. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Curam Software. Original budget, $1.6 billion. Actual cost, $6.6 billion. Cost overrun, $5 billion. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the Liberals told us that this is a success story. That's what they said. Who in the Liberal cabinet will step up to take leadership in this fiasco, in this financial fiasco? That's the question. Who will take care of the 85,000 seniors who are waiting for their money? Who? Anyone? That's Liberal leadership for you, Mr. Speaker. No one is dealing with this. The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, my colleague is in the House of Commons because he tried to be an actor, but he failed at that, at drama school. But as we've said, as the other ministers have said, as all those responsible for this have said, we are replacing outdated technological systems. This system is within budget, and any glitches will be fixed, Mr. Speaker. My colleagues are welcome to send me any issues they know of. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent, Akia-Wenrac. Mr. Speaker, 85,000 Canadian seniors are experiencing problems, and for some of them, this is their only source of revenue. This is the problem, Mr. Speaker. There are 85,000 seniors affected, and yesterday the Minister of Transportation said that there were just a few cases, 85,000. A success story, they said, 85,000. This is Liberal arrogance in full display. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is an honourable, very honourable man. So can he rise and admit that they've made a mistake? The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
That the Prime Minister is an honourable man, and that's why I'm so confident to serve under his leadership. And on the issue of Curam, Mr. Speaker, it would be great if we had some honourable conversations about the real facts of this case. In fact, Mr. Speaker, 7.7 million seniors have been transferred to the new system without any delay. And in fact, the number that the opposition keeps repeating are new applicants, Mr. Speaker. We have a process as well for urgent cases. I've asked the member opposite to come to me with those urgent cases, and we can get people their benefits started within 24 to 48 hours. Mr. Speaker, there is
the Honourable Member for Halifax.
Monsieur le Président, on est tout. Mr. Speaker, all of us in this place agree that tuberculosis rates in Inuit Nunangat and in many First Nations communities are still too high. These rates of tuberculosis reflect historical discrimination and the lasting effects of colonization. Can the Minister of Indigenous Services tell the House what our new government is doing to eliminate tuberculosis by 2030? Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Indigenous Services. Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague for this very important question. In order to eliminate tuberculosis, we are investing in innovative approaches led by Inuit. We are working to improve people's health in the most at-risk communities, and in order to do so, we have just announced additional investment, significant investment, to find solutions to tuberculosis rates in Inuit Nunangat.
With ITK and Inuit treaty organizations to better support prevention, screening, and diagnosis.
The Honourable Member for Brantford, Brant South, Six Nations.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Liberal revolving door policies strike again. Today in Toronto, a criminal while out on bail was convicted of stabbing a male 7 times on the subway, causing life-altering injuries and permanent trauma, is now walking free. The judge called him a high risk to reoffend, and now his victim fears for his life. How many more innocent Canadians have to be stabbed, shot, or terrorized before this government stops propping up a broken system and actually starts protecting victims?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, cases like this are exactly why we brought in C-14.
That's right.
I'm glad to report that C-14 has passed on to the Senate. The Senate is doing its work. There will be bail reform in that bill. There are harsher sentences for those that commit crimes. And I'm glad that that we'll be able to tackle this issue. Mr. Speaker, my role has been put in place because we are a tough on crime government, and we'll do everything that it takes to make sure we don't have incidents like this.
Honourable Member for Brantford, Brant South, Six Nations.
The tragic case, Mr. Speaker, is a direct result of Bill C-5 and 75 laws that weaken bail, water down consequences, and fueled a revolving door for violent crime. Conservatives have repeatedly fought to strengthen bail, end early release, and keep violent offenders behind bars. We have offered to work with this government, yet these Liberals vote down tougher laws Conservatives propose, choosing ideology over public safety. How many more Canadians have to be violently attacked before this government admits its laws are failing?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, 1/3 of all legislation that we've brought forward has been tough on crime legislation, Mr. Speaker. Justice reform, public safety bills, and many of these measures have moved forward and progressed, but there are some measures that have not moved forward at all because the Conservatives have been obstructing those measures, Mr. Speaker. We need to be able to provide law enforcement with the tools that they need, the advancement that is needed, and lawful access measures are a part of that regime. I would like the Conservatives to work with us, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear. The Honourable Member for Kamloops, Thompson, Nicola.
Mr. Speaker, a man was recently sentenced to 2 years less a day for possessing over 2,600 images of child sexual abuse and exploitation material. Let's remember that it is Parliament's jurisdiction to set sentencing ranges, and that is why I put forward a bill last Parliament to raise sentences for those who commit sexual offences against kids. Make no mistake, I believe everybody in this chamber wants to protect children. But if that's the case, will the Liberals commit today when they will introduce legislation that will strengthen our sentencing for those who possess these criminal and awful materials?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to answer the Honourable Member's question directly. It was during the fall sitting last year. We put forward legislation that is going to increase sentences for a range of sexual crimes. And, Mr. Speaker, we are also going to be restoring mandatory minimum penalties, including for child pornography charges following the Senate bill decision of the Supreme Court. But on this side of the House, we know that it is not enough to punish bad actors after a crime has taken place. That's why I would urge all members of this House to get behind the government's efforts to pass Bill C-2 so we can actually adopt a lawful access regime, give cops the tools they need to put criminals behind bars and keep our kids safe.
The Honourable Member for Labrador.
Mr. Speaker, we know how important it is that Inuit children have timely and equitable access to the health, social and educational supports they deserve. The Inuit Child First Initiative has been instrumental in helping to close long-standing gaps, ensuring that Inuit children are not left behind. Could the Minister of Indigenous Services please update this House on her recent announcement and explain how it will further strengthen supports for Inuit children and families, including those in my own riding of Labrador? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Indigenous Services.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for his question, and I'm really pleased to be able to respond to him in affirming the announcement of $115 million towards renewed funding for the Inuit Child First Initiative that will reach those children and families in his riding and like mine. I want to thank my constituents who expressed their support for this progress. I'm looking forward to continuing to deliver in this space. Of course, we are going to be doing long-term work in partnership with our colleagues to ensure that we are able to determine the future next steps of this process. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, Liberals have shut down the experimental farm in Saint-Augustin-des-Maures and the research centre at Laval University in the riding represented by the Minister of Public Services and Procurement. It is unanimous that this decision will have long-term consequences for our food sovereignty and Canadian expertise. Mr. Speaker, agricultural research funding is already the poor cousin under these Liberals. The Prime Minister has stated that a country that cannot feed itself has limited options. Why is the government not walking the talk?
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now more than ever, it's vital we find ways to streamline our services and focus our efforts in the right place, Mr. Speaker. I've had the opportunity to sit down with Laval University and talk about AFC and the partnerships that we have. Streamlining research and collaboration with academia and the private sector will prioritize our high-impact areas and duplication and align ourselves for the future. We are going to continue to be the biggest science entity in the country, Mr. Speaker, and we will use that to our advantage in our trade negotiations.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Strathcona.
Mr. Speaker, the Canada Health Act guarantees Canadians universal access to public health care. But Danielle Smith is creating a private system that will hollow out health care in Alberta and spread to other provinces, making the crisis across the country even worse. At the same time, Canadians in 9 provinces and territories still have no access to national pharmacare, and the health minister won't even meet with the Canadian Health Coalition to talk about it. Is the Prime Minister deliberately letting Canadian health care erode, or does he simply not care enough to protect it?
Hear, hear. Excellent.
L'Honorable Ministre.
The Honourable Minister for Health. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As my colleague knows, I will always stand up for, and my government will always stand up for, the Canada Health Act. We're working closely with our partners, provinces and territories, as I often say, and we work together to ensure the best possible healthcare services for Canadians.
Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, our healthcare system is already stretched, yet this Liberal government piles on needless paperwork. The College of Family Physicians warns that the disability tax credit form is worsening the strain on family doctors and limiting access to the Canada Disability Benefit. Instead of fixing the problem, Budget 2025 sets aside $10 million to help people navigate a broken system. Provinces already determine disability eligibility. Why won't the minister just accept provincial approvals for the disability tax credit and cut red tape so family doctors can focus on patient care and so people with disabilities can actually access their benefits?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Speaker, I am so proud to be part of a country that believes that people with disabilities deserve to live in dignity, and that's why we have a disability tax credit. As the member knows, this is important work for the full inclusion of people with disabilities in Canadian society, and we'll continue to advocate to ensure that everyone reaches their full potential here in this country.
L'honorable député de Montcalm.
The honourable member for Montcalm. On a point of order. Yes, Mr. Speaker. You are the guardian of my parliamentary privilege, and one of these privileges is to ensure that when I attend question period, I may hear both the question and the answer, regardless of what I may think of that question or answer. However, over the last several question periods, unfortunately, the people to your right have a difficult time containing their enthusiasm, so they rise to applaud before the answers have been fully given, which means that interpreters cannot do their work. It has happened on several occasions, and they're unable to do their work. And when they are able to, we actually can't appreciate it because we can't even hear the rest of the answer. Mr. Speaker, if you could, make it clear to the people across the way. Thank you. I will take it under advisement and look into the matter. But I think it's coming from both sides, I must admit. There are loud voices on both sides. I know them, yes, I know. I know who they are. That said, thank you for your comment.
To order made on Monday, February 23rd, 2026. I now invite the House to rise and observe a moment of silence for Ukraine and the victims of Russian aggression. Thank you. The honourable member for Etobicoke Centre.
Mr. Speaker, there have been discussions amongst the parties, and if you seek it, I believe you'll find unanimous consent for the following motion: that this House condemn Russia's ongoing unjustified full-scale military invasion of Ukraine. Point B, call on Russia to cease its hostilities against Ukraine and withdraw to recognized international borders. C, strongly condemn Russia's deliberate and ongoing attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, depriving civilians of heat, electricity, and basic services, particularly during the winter months. D, reaffirm the government of Canada's unwavering support for Ukraine, its territorial integrity, and independence and sovereignty within internationally recognized borders and territorial waters.
But we see, once again here, Mr. Speaker, the exact same rhetoric that comes from Conservatives, the exact same thing that the member from Red Deer Lacombe was trying to do when he, walking through an airport, looking like the hero on his way back to Ottawa, was saying, I'm on my way to Ottawa to fight for you and deal with the agents of Beijing. Come on. That's not what this place is supposed to be about, Mr. Speaker. The rhetoric that comes from Conservatives, including that last question, is intentionally trying to mislead Canadians, and I find it extremely unfortunate. Difference that I have from the NDP on this particular concurrence motion. Thank you.
Questions and comments. Question and commentaire. The honourable member for Caribou Prince George.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank our honourable colleague. He is a good soldier. He goes on and on and on, and he quotes lots of things. Well, I'd like to quote something from the media. It's breaking news, and perhaps he'd like to check his phone about a breaking news right now of a Liberal MP that secretly advised a Chinese diplomat in 2021 to delay the freeing of the two Michaels. I would like to ask this honourable colleague for a comment onto that.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, I'm sitting here, Mr. Speaker. I've been speaking for the last 15 minutes, not including interruptions. I'm unaware of the breaking news that this member is referencing. I'm looking forward to look into it. But we see, once again here, Mr. Speaker, the exact same rhetoric that comes from Conservatives, the exact same thing that the member from Red Deer Lacombe was trying to do when he, walking through an airport, looking like the hero on his way back to Ottawa, was saying, I'm on my way to Ottawa to fight for you and deal with the agents of Beijing. Come on. That's not what this place is supposed to be about, Mr. Speaker. The rhetoric that comes from Conservatives, including that last question, is intentionally trying to mislead Canadians.
Assassination and smear, and we said no. The Liberals, we have to find a way that we can start getting answers. It was the New Democrats that were the first party, our leader, to call for a public inquiry. And tonight, we are the ones leading this discussion, and we need this tonight, Madam Speaker, because we are in a situation where we've just got these allegations that I think are explosive, that a sitting member of Parliament may have advised a senior Chinese official over the illegal detention, the hostage-taking of Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavar, the ones we know as the two Michaels. And that hostage-taking of those two men was a real line that was crossed, I think, in this new century in terms of the breakdown of international order and international law. And it was incumbent upon all of us, regardless of party, to put the interests of those men and their family first. Now, I know the member in question has been accused. I've sat with him on committee, and I am not here to say whether or not those allegations are true. But I'm saying these allegations are so explosive that the Prime Minister must respond. And one of the ways the Prime Minister must respond now is by following the New Democrat call for a public inquiry to restore confidence.
Channel Report.
My family came to Canada for freedom. I have had the privilege of being elected to this House, and I believe I have served honorably and pledge to continue to serve honorably and fulfill my oath of office. I will continue to serve the residents of Don Valley North as an independent member of this House. I'm taking this extraordinary step because sitting the government caucus is a privilege, and my presence there may be seen by some as a conflict of duty and the wrong place to be as an independent investigation pursues the facts in this matter. I will be sitting as an independent so that business of government and indeed the business of Parliament is not interrupted as I work to clear my name and the truth is presented to Parliament and to Canadian people. I am a proud Liberal, and I am proud of the work our government does day in and day out to serve the people of Canada. I also don't want to distract from that important work. Before concluding, I want to assure Mr. Michael Spavar and Mr. Michael Kovrig and their families that I did nothing to cause them any harm. Like everyone in this House, I worked hard and advocated for their interest as a parliamentarian. The allegations made against me are as false as the ones made against you. To my constituents, I will continue to work on your behalf as your Member of Parliament. To my staff, I thank you. I know the days ahead will be difficult, but I will be there to support you as we continue to serve the people of Don Valley North. To my family, and in particular, my parents, who brought us here to Canada. To my wife, Sophie, and my kids, I love you,
I thank you for all the support and love you give me. The truth will protect us. Our honor and our family will get through this together. Sorry about that. Thank you, Speaker.
I want to thank the member for his statement to assure him that the House will be making the appropriate changes to the seating plan.
China Report.
Take a quick breather here for a few moments before we go back to cues and comments.
As your Member of Parliament. To my staff, I thank you. I know the days ahead will be difficult, but I will be there to support you as we continue to serve the people of Down Valley North.
Okay, let's get back to the orders of the day.
China deal. We have a deal with China now. It looks like Xi Jinping is meeting Trump, and then it looks like Xi Jinping, well, Trump is going to China, and then China's coming to America, which is surprising as hell. But hey, the Olympics as well, so you know what I mean. There'll be an opportunity for them to do major security verification because of the Olympics that are coming to LA. Basically, it's now it looks like we're having the world. Obviously, I know nothing being a plumber, but basically we have, the way I see it is Hong Kong went down. Jimmy Lai went down, and God, I hope they get. I think they're gonna get. He's gonna get out. I have hopes. He gets out. But Jimmy Lai was basically the resistance of Hong Kong, in word form, with his Daily Apple paper. He was the voice of the people, and they put him away. And the court system has been taken over. They had a 50-year deal, and they jumped the time on it. With the UK, they had a deal. China, that is, and they and so Taiwan. Everyone expects this 2027. It won't be an easy thing. It'll be definitely. It's not even a for sure thing, but when you all the economists and people that look at the numbers are basically saying, when it comes to production, the Chinese are well surpassed America, and what Taiwan is putting into there's no way. So we're going to see a shift. Will it be a shift of all the way here? No, but Taiwan, expect that. And then Taiwan will set on a bunch of like automatic trapdoors, if you will. Gates will go up. Things will, you know what I mean? It'll set up the conditions for the next stage of the world geopolitic. Economic. A little bit of kinetic going on with Taiwan. Obviously, I don't want to see this, but that's what the pundits or whatever, the geopolitical gurus say. And there's this paper that's out. China releases paper of 2027. and everyone suspects it's going to happen. At the same time, the Monroe Doctrine is happening. I never understood why we were focused on everywhere in the world while South America was a piss hole, a beautiful piss hole, one of the most beautiful places, the plants, the weather, the climate, the water, the Amazon, the fact that it's a monoculture of plants. And the Amazon, which is odd. I won't talk about that now. So on and so forth. And we were focused on what's going on in, Zimbabwe, for lack of a better, and nothing wrong with Zimbabwe, but it's just pretty, pretty far where we don't help. Anywho, it looks like the geopolitical setup will be this. We're going to have a economic war, love of American tech, infrastructure, stuff like this will sell to Asia and Africa and the other developing areas. South America will be a playground for America, and thus we'll have less sphere power in Asia. It'll lose, you know what I mean, just because there's only so many people. But Africa, it looks at the later stages, it looks like, they're going to get the 80s malls wars as the next stage. Doesn't look like anything's going kinetic except, Taiwan. Who knows? Obviously, we don't know. The Prime Minister is taking MP Genereux, the newly minted Liberal, is going on the trip. Now, the extended trip is hitting a couple of the places. I don't believe Taiwan is on this itinerary. As a matter of fact, I will look at it. It was a CBC article, of course. CTV does a pretty good job with it. CBC's king. It's all peaceful in the shithole of Mexico. Okay, so Matt Genereux is going to India. India is the big thing of late. Europe just got some good deals. India, Australia, and Japan. The Liberals' newest MP, Matt Genereux, will join the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, on a whirlwind trade trip to India, Australia, and Japan later this week. The longtime Alberta Conservative announced last week that he was crossing the floor to join the governing party, just months after he said he planned to leave politics altogether amid a frenzy of rumors that he was joining the Liberals. But he did. The Edmonton Riverbend MP now finds himself joining the Prime Minister on his latest travels abroad. This time with stops in Mumbai, New Delhi, Sydney, Canberra, Tokyo, and his new capacity as Special Advisor on Economic and Security Partnerships, according to the Prime Minister's office, Prime PMO. So his new job, Special Advisor on Economic and Security Partnerships. Well, that's a killer trip. It's a kick-ass trip. That's just totally killer trip. Mumbai, New Delhi, Sydney, Canberra, Tokyo. And he, out of the three, he's the one who's got the position. I did interview him. He is, when it comes to politicianing, he always was a cut above. I was surprised he didn't, froth up higher in the Conservative. But now that seems to be over, and he is going to froth high with the Liberals. If he makes a deal with this. And how do you not make a deal out of Mumbai, New Delhi, Sydney, Canberra, Tokyo? If you can't make at least 3 good news articles, like headlines from that, you really, really did something wrong. You spent the whole time in the bathroom with glue. Tuesday also marked Genereux's return to the House of Commons. He was spotted in the front row for his first question period as Liberal. He was front row center. You could see him, I believe, when you seen the Prime Minister. Oh, no, when you seen McKinnon. So, Finance Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Danone, Defense Minister David McGuinty, and International Trade Minister Meander Sidhu, as well as New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt and Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe. Scott Moe is going because the last trip worked out well for him. He got a win on the last one with selling his mash, soy mash to the, getting that soy mash deal. So he's like, I don't care. I'm going to this one too. Susan Holt as well. She's New Brunswick Premier. She's pretty good. She's sturdy as a politician, They haven't caught her yet with anything or at all. Like, she's pretty, for a small province, above its weight in a good way this way. We'll be on the Indian leg of the trip. Okay, so they're going to go on the India leg where they got to get some big deals going on there. They have, and India is a hard nut to crack because they have a major farming protection racket going on. As the people. But now that they're having more cities, there's a potential for us to slide in there with, maybe some old Dutch chips and stuff like that. A smaller group, including Genero, is staying on for the Australia and Tokyo portions. Conservative House Leader Andrew Scheer questioned Genero's priorities after he announced he was leaving politics to focus on his family. At the time, Conservative Leader Pierre Poilievre said Genero would officially leave in the spring. Well, it didn't turn out to be the case. Oh, this is a CBC article written, I think, very well by Catherine Tunney. Picture hasn't come up yet. Quote, here's a guy that said he didn't have time to do the job he was elected to do on behalf of taxpayers. And now he's suddenly got time to travel to India? Scheer said. Questioned on the timing, Sidhu said the trip is absolutely not a present for Genero. Oh, that's a present. They gave him a good position, and but he is a good MP. So what they did is they're using their resources. The other one, Ma, I don't know much about, and then the other Nova Scotia MP. Most likely, Nova Scotia MP, they're going, he looked at his riding, and his riding is going red, and he's basically like, well, I want a politic. And I most likely won't get it if he stays conservative. He was a speaker, much more of a balanced, and Genero was I always thought he was backburnered for I don't know what. And everything he did was good. He got some things actually through. They weren't the boldest, greatest, but he got them through. You know what I mean? Like, that's the rare occasion, It's getting them through what your personal members bill kind of thing. It's just the chances is 1 in a million. It's like actually hitting the moon. So what I had this to say, quote. We got some quoting here. Quoting, toting. He brings much value to the team, said the minister following a cabinet meeting. Carries on. I'm happy that he's coming along because we can use the help. Genero is the third Conservatives who the Liberals have successfully poached in recent months, starting with Nova Scotia. Chris D'Entremont, that's what I was just talking about. He was the speaker, and his Nova Scotia riding is definitely leaning Liberal now. Toronto MP area Michael Ma in December. I don't know much about Ma, to be honest. Probably, I would imagine the same thing. A Toronto riding going liberal is not a, you know what I mean? It's not a head scratcher there. That's just like a given, really. So that would, I believe, maybe also the case. Whereas Genero is in a conservative. He's in conservative lands, not 100%, but he's in conservative country. But he's the one who got a position. Ma was included in Carney's trip as well to Beijing in Qatar earlier this year. not long after he crossed the floor. Okay, so the PMO said at the time that he was because his Markham Union riding is home to one of Canada's largest Chinese Canadians. So yeah, of course. So he should have been on that trip. Carney is to address Australia's Parliament, and says in the article by Catherine Tunney. January's floor crossing brings the Liberal seat count and House of Commons to 169 MPs against 171 opposition MPs. There are 3 vacancies. January, and they're like in Toronto. So I think 2 out of 3 are definitely Liberal, no matter what, almost. And then the other one is possible. So the Liberals may be sitting on right now on a majority, slim as it would be, but a majority. And so they're probably just sitting on them and making things better. General hasn't taken reporters' questions since leaving the Conservative caucus. But in a statement last week, he said he decided to cross the floor after reflecting on, quote, on the gravity of the moment that our country is living through, end of quote. In November, it is widely believed that General was considering defecting to the government benches and that and had even met with Carney, but he appeared to put that speculation to bed when he abruptly announced his plans to retire from federal politics. General had not been spotted in the House of Commons since and abstained from voting alongside his Conservative colleagues on a key confidence vote last year. Carney has made reducing Canada's reliance on the United States a key part of his platform and is headed to the Indo-Pacific region to discuss trade. Well, we already have like a super deal, the CPTPPA. It's basically, from Chile and Indonesia and all these countries. What we need to do is have a desk to help companies utilize the free trade export instead of, I believe. But it does start with trips, Carney has made reducing Canada's reliance on this. That's good. Carney and his delegation leave Thursday. He will first touch down in Mumbai for talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And business leaders. During a stop in the Australian capital, Carney will address both houses of that country's parliament, Senate and the Parliament, for the first time a Canadian Prime Minister has done so in 20 years. Catherine Tunney wrote this article. So there we go. It was pretty good. It's a pretty good article. Genero is a flipper with the most. He's getting a position, and he's getting the trip of champions. Where isn't this trip going? Mumbai, New Delhi, Sydney, Canberra, and Tokyo. So it's going to be hitting the outsides of the CPTPP, which I will look at the country member states here. I will read them out to you. Which is, Australia is in it. We already have free trade deeds. 11 original nations. Indo-Pacific, Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and Vietnam, plus the United Kingdom. 13% of global GDP. So we had to have this free trade agreement. It's a major free trade agreement. As of 2023, it started, aims at eliminating 99% of tariffs. Now, there's tariffs. See, this is what the thing came out as. There's tariffs, and there's also barriers to trade. So there's things like, you have to use a specific type of salt water that maybe only comes from, your country's region. You know what I mean? To sell this type of thing. Or you can only label it this type of cheese because it's not from this region. There's all kinds of barriers to trade that are also on top, but this is a major one, obviously, the direct one, taxes. And then they call it free trade. not sure exactly where we are on all of these countries. Obviously, it's not greatest as we're still selling 70-ish% to the United States of our goods, and we're an export country with these 10 other countries. Again, Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, Vietnam. And, of course, the United Kingdom is just snuck in there after they de-Brexited. All right. CPTPP. Is this mic been on? There we go. All right. That's all. Have a good day. Here's an NDP who's out of the mix. Angus Beef, who's a musician, like a punk rocker. You know, the old NDP for the people, a little bit wild.